The whole idea of Pesach is matzah. Because matzah is the flat bread, no ego. Regular bread rises with ego. So the whole idea of Pesach is to eat things with no ego, to have no ego. Now, one of the reasons that the Nazir Shimshon is allowed to be in rooms with dead people is because he's already dead. He has no ego. He's a samurai, and that's why Shimshon was able to kill. He's already dead. And so he's not protecting life. He's already dead. He has no ego. And that's why, in a sense, he's not required to observe Pesach, because Pesach is all about losing the ego. Now, for me, I'm going to be eating matzah whenever possible and not eating bread. So when I say I'm not observing Pesach, that means I'm not doing a Haggadah, but I still observe no bread, no lahem, and I eat matzah whenever I can. And the other point is I'm going this year. Usually I don't put my tefillin on at Chol HaMoed, but this year I am, since I'm not doing the Pesach meal, the Passover meal, the Haggadah. But the matzah is the most beautiful word in the world. Matzah is mem zadek hey. But what you do is an atbash on the mem and the zadek. And when you do an atbash on the mem and the zadek, you get yud, hey. So the letters of mem zadek are in atbash are yud, hey. So then you get yud, hey, hey. And just so happens when I woke up this morning, I wasn't going to do something about this. And I realized that the 15th letter, the Yud Hey letter, which are the two terms that are changed in Matzah, are Yud Hey, that's 15. And that 15 is the letter Samach, the 15th letter. That 15th letter is also, in my terminology, a snake biting its own tail. It's a circle. And this is an entry into the circle worlds. And in the snake biting its own tail, we have a Keter Malkus, because the head of the snake is a Keter and the tail is a Malkus. And this Keter Malkus is in the 15th letter, and in the 15th Psalm, and in the 15th day of every month. And especially like on Purim and Pesach, the 15th days. And as we know, then that's the Yud Hey. For me, that's the Samak, and it's the snake biting its own tail, and it's also entry into the circle worlds. It's the linear worlds. It's into the circle worlds, which after the Passover meals, I'll be making some videos next week about entry into the circle worlds in the body. This 15th letter is Keter Malkus, but again, miraculously, there's two aspects of Malkus. There's a Keter Malkus, which includes the top, and then there's just a pure Malkus. That pure Malkus, to me, is the letter Hey that doesn't get changed in the Atbash of Matzah. Because remember that matzah has that the same first letter as mitzvot. Anyway, so there's really a yud, hey, hey. Remember, there's always two feminines. So the yud, hey makes a keter malkus, but then there's another hey. And the yud is divided into two heys. Yud is 10, hey, hey. And so the real whole and a half, of this entire thing is that Yud is 10 and Hey is 5. And so the name Yah, 15, is whole and a half. And this is embraced in another Malkus, which is a sinking, which is a down going, a going down before going up. Now these words mean only something to me. When we talk about the 16,000, all these words, only something to me. We talk about the 16,000 cubits of the deep. That's the samach and an aleph inside. And when they get raised again, they get raised a samach, and it leaves only an aleph inside. And these two letters of samach and aleph are sitra akra and aleph samach ein saf. And the 15 psalms, it is said by David of Shir HaAmalot, are these 15,000 amos. This all relates to the circular worlds that are related in the body that spiral around the spine. Everything is embraced in the cube, and we function within the cube. And the universe is a cube. It's a flat cube. It's a square. And all this came to me, and then again it came to me, and because I am going to be eating matzah. So when I said I wasn't observing Pesach, I am. I'm not observing the Haggadahs, but I'm not eating matzah. And it has to do with protecting of the ego. Theoretically, I have no ego. But if I had no ego, I wouldn't be doing these videos. Because these videos, in a sense, reflect a lesser being than somebody who's raised completely up and dead. So it's a certain level of death, but there's always a higher level of death. Because in the highest level of death, you won't see me. And that's what the secret of Shimshon is. The secret of Shimshon has to do with the Shemesh, the sun. It's a small sun. So, as I approach this here in the circular worlds, because all this relates to Purim, all this relates to Pesach, all this relates to the 30-day period, all this relates to Yud, Hey, Yud, Hey. All this relates to Matzah. All this relates to the two levels of the feminine, the two Heys. The first is Keter Malkus, and the other, the embrace of everything that's in a square. That's related by the tefillins, the arm tefillin, which relates to the heart. And this also relates even to the Kaaba in Mecca. And all these things relate, anything that's square or cubed, as a total embrace. An embrace of even of the Keter Malkus.